friends, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you all so much for joining us here today for another chapter of Pouring Coast to Coast. So today's challenge was set by Britta, and it was to give us rooms that were from a staging app and to create a piece of art that was inspired by that room, that we thought would look good in that room. So I'm doing a resin piece today, and it is, what I wanted to show with it is how to create a lot of depth. So I'm going step by step and showing you how I create depth in this piece with a few different techniques that I use. So yeah, as always, if you have any questions, put them in the drop down below, and thank you so much for being here. Let's talk about our substrate. So I'm using a little bit of an unusual substrate today. This was a end cap from a cabinet build that I did, and I accidentally ordered one too many and I couldn't return it because it was a custom order. So I have this beautiful end cap. It's completely finished all the way around, so it actually makes for a perfect canvas. So I'm going to go outside. I'm going to give this a light sanding with 220 grit sandpaper, give it a good cleaning with isopropyl alcohol, and then we'll go on to the next step. So here we are after I spray painted the gold veins. Notice how I've kept the edges kind of soft. And I did clean up a little bit in the middle, but I still tried to keep the edges soft so that I had some dark blue and some really bright gold. And here I'm using my favorite epoxy resin, which is Stone Coat Countertops. It's a wonderful resin, and one of the things I like about it for these sorts of art projects is it gives you about 90 minutes of working time, which is really nice. Now, you see me using clear resin here as one of my quote-unquote colors, and that's going to be really important for creating the depth. So what I'm doing here is first I'm putting down just a little bit of epoxy, and I'm putting a very thin coat, just a skim coat over the whole piece, and that's going to allow my colors to flow a little bit easier. And then I start by putting down some splotches of my clear first, and this is what's going to help create depth because you're going to be able to see through those clear places. The technique I'm doing here is called melded marble. It's a pretty common technique with doing countertops, and it's one of my favorites. You can get some really interesting effects. So I'm using about 6 ounces per square foot, and I'm going to be lightly swiping the colors over one another, and that is going to create a lot of lacing. And even in the places where I'm swiping the color over the clear, there'll be lacing there. So you'll be able to see through, you'll see down to the gold, you'll see down to the navy, and that is what's going to give an incredible amount of depth. Now, you are going to see me torching a lot in this video. So I'm torching for a couple of reasons. The obvious is to pop bubbles. We're all pretty familiar with that. But the other thing is torching also helps warm up the epoxy so that it moves easier and flows nicely. And I'm just using a paint sample card here to do my swiping. I like those for epoxy. It's firm enough that it allows you to swipe, but it's not so firm that it makes it easy to dig in through the epoxy. It just creates a nice swipe, I think. I'm adding in my gold veins, and I'm making these a little bit thicker than I normally would because I know I'm going to be doing another layer of epoxy on top of this. So I want to make sure that some of these are going to show through a little bit. So these are a little on the thicker side, but the second coat I'm also going to be adding veins in, and they will not be as thick. They'll be a little more natural looking. And then last but not least, I'm adding some alcohol spritz, and this is 91% isopropyl alcohol. And that's what's really going to create the lacing here. One other thing that I forgot to mention is that I'm using a tape dam here. So you can see here where all the way around the board I have it taped, and that tape is rolling under the board so that I really have a solid tape dam there and nothing is going to get out. And this is important because I want this epoxy to stay on the board until it thickens up a little bit, until it's kind of halfway partially cured, so that you can keep your composition. And I will be pulling the tape at about the 45-minute mark. And then I'm just touching all of the edges and making sure that my epoxy is rolling over really nicely.
Coffee in a paper cup, the engine starts right up. Clip myself into the middle seat. Daddy liked talk radio. On gravel he would drive real slow. He told me, let's go see what we could see. We pulled into the empty lot before the pavement got too hot. Underneath her leafy crown, the only shade for miles and miles around. With branches low like spiral stairs, we climbed into her maiden hair. You feel like you can really fly up there. My hand in his so patiently, we watched from our proud little tree. We hummed a little song to me. Suddenly the air would shake still feel it even now.
Okay, here we are with the finished piece, and hopefully you'll be able to see the depth here with the multiple layers. Not sure how good this comes out on video, but there is just so much depth here, and I am absolutely in love with this piece. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, I hope you all have a beautiful day.